Hi, my name is Britton, and occasionally something happens on YouTube, and I want to talk about it from a bit of a biblical perspective. When you watch a MrBeast video, you're watching a half-hour or so paid advertisement, like an infomercial. The only reason his video exists is because a company gave him the money that was allotted to be given away.
Where it started was my very first brand deal. They offered me 10 grand. And then that's when I was like, wait a minute, I can get these brand deals like every video if I wanted to, which gives me tons of money to spend on the videos. So then like I did 10 videos where I gave away $10,000. All my videos are like expensive. Like we spend like $50,000 most videos.
And I don't think he's being evasive about that at all. He's upfront. He thanks his sponsors regularly over the course of the video. Sometimes he'll even play an actual pre-recorded commercial in the middle.
In this video, we are giving away tons of money. So before we go any further, I need to tell you about Honey because they were gracious enough to help us.
And then you get back to the action when it's done. And, I mean, that's a pretty transparent way to let you know you're being advertised to. However, you don't feel like you're watching an infomercial.
Now let's get back to giving away money.
The sponsors, like Honey, are actually kind of absent from what's happening on screen. Instead of a ham-fisted, oh, Coca-Cola or Apple is a good moral company who helps people, Honey takes a step back, and the focus is very much on MrBeast and his generosity. And I think this is a pretty brilliant move. Honey avoids real scrutiny because it's MrBeast who's giving away the money. And they still get mentioned favorably as the company who has made MrBeast's giving possible. And it seems to be working. But I fear that what this does is conflate MrBeast, a person who is known for generosity, kindness, and giving, with the concept of a lottery, which you pay into in the hopes of winning. But what does God think about this? Can the Bible tell me? Now there is some biblical precedent for casting lots, or kleromacy, in a holy God-ordained way. Lots are what tell the sailors that Jonah is the cause of the storm about to kill them all. Which, way to be a friend, Jonah. Like, thank goodness the storm stopped once they threw you overboard, or they would have had a very low opinion of followers of the one true God. I'm just saying. But I think you'd be hard-pressed to argue from those examples that a money lottery is the best way to choose who we bring out of poverty. There is a large amount of scripture dedicated to how Christians should be taking care of the poor. So much so that I think giving is supposed to be a regular practice in our lives. It's even something that we're supposed to do to the point of sacrifice. Deuteronomy 15, if among you one of your brothers should become poor in any of your towns within your land that the Lord your God is giving you, you shall not harden your heart or shut your hand against your poor brother. But you shall open your hand to him, and lend him sufficient for his need, whatever it may be. You shall give to him freely, and your heart shall not be grudging when you give to him, because for this the Lord your God will bless you in all your work and in all that you undertake. For there will never cease to be poor in the land. Therefore I command you, you shall open wide your hand to your brother, to the needy and to the poor in your land. What scares us as Christians in America about this is, I think, that we have a strong sense that our American system is inherently broken. And if we did give with the consistency that God calls us to, our money would be sucked away, used badly, and leave us destitute ourselves. If there's one thing totally apparent in MrBeast I Am Santa Claus video, it is the overwhelming need, and possibly how broken our system is to be able to meet it. MrBeast is informed that his massive donation to a food bank distribution center will be used up very quickly.
So just to confirm, this will do a lot of good.
This will do a lot of good. In fact, a lot of this will probably be gone on Monday.
Oh no, really?
If not on Monday, it will be gone on Thursday.
All right, well that's a challenge. How much do I need to make it past Monday? I'll go buy everything in Sam's Club.
You could.
And to provide enough food that will last an additional week, MrBeast goes back to the store to drop off even more canned goods and items. A homeless shelter he's helped in previous videos say that his donation helped over 600 people, but they are ready for more donations. And there's also this.
Since you guys were so nice, we want to give all the employees working here $500 just for fun.
Wow. That's amazing.
Here's $500. Not to bother you, here's $500.
Oh!
And wow, he just runs through the gamut of most of our social problems in America in under 15 minutes. Food insecurity, homelessness, the low minimum wage, healthcare in America. It's just so totally covered. And it feels kind of nice to just see MrBeast hand out laptops and Nintendo Switches out the drive-thru window, regardless of whoever's there or their actual need. But I realized when watching it that those people who came to buy donuts and walked away with electronics had more or less won the lottery. They just happened to be going to buy food, and MrBeast was there. Same for the employees who just so happened to be working that night. Same for the kids who just happened to be sick at one of those children's hospitals. They were just in the right place at the right time, and MrBeast pulled their number. And instead of chalking that up to random chance, we as Christians tend to see it as throwing lots. Well, everyone who crosses MrBeast's path must, in some cosmic god chess game, be positioned there for a reason. But by that logic, if you're not there, you must not really need what MrBeast is handing out. And what compounds the problem is that MrBeast, by design, can't even really demonstrate the most effective ways to give. For example, when MrBeast pays a big box store retail price for, let's say, canned food, it makes for a good show. There's a ton of carts rolling around, there's hijinks with his friends, there's stacking stuff, everyone's cracking jokes. It's a spectacle. But food banks are able to buy non-canned perishable items like fruits and vegetables and non-processed meats directly from farmers and food wholesalers.
The best way to help a food bank is to donate money, because we buy food on a wholesale level and we work with farmers, so we can take the dollar that you might spend on a single can of beans and turn it into exponentially more food.
Hey there, folks. I got a delivery here for $1 worth of food. I mean, comically large amount of food.
And if MrBeast were just able to write them a check, the money would go a lot farther and help more people who actually rely on food banks. However, MrBeast can't really do that, just write a check, because the point of the video isn't to help the most people, it's to advertise the sponsor. So it's a requirement that the money not be used the most wisely, but the most visually grandiose. And I'm not saying that what MrBeast does is wrong or not valuable. I think it's great that he gives random college students cash and hands out PlayStations. But when it comes to large-scale problems like housing or healthcare, we as Christians need to be voting and advocating for new systems. There's no reason people should be praying that MrBeast comes to their town to hand out houses when we as Christians control so many government positions and so much of this nation's wealth. We should be the ones handing out houses in a Christian nation. Honestly, the sheer randomness of how MrBeast gives stuff away reminds me of when billionaire Robert F. Smith paid off the entire student loan debt of the entire 2019 Morehouse graduating class. As great as it was for those 396 graduates, there was also a student who would have been part of the graduating class, but he dropped out 2 years earlier because of his mounting student loan debt. Even though he made a decision that was generous at the time to try and spare burdening his family with the debt, it turns out that decision took him out of the right place at the right time. He lost the lottery. It's sad to say, but higher education has become a gamble for a lot of people. A diploma is, in a lot of ways, a requirement or a ticket to enter the workforce, but it doesn't guarantee you a living wage or even employment. And whether you win or not, your student loans are going to follow you for the rest of your life. If Robert F. Smith had simply told the class in 2015 that their college education would be paid for when they graduated in 4 years, there may have been less spectacle with the announcement, but that student would have stayed at Morehouse. And all this has been pretty metaphorical in terms of lotteries, but in Last to Take Their Hand Off $1 Million Keeps It video, MrBeast takes this concept up a notch.
Please put your right hand on this cash. Dead serious. Last one of you to take your hand off this $1 million stack of cash keeps it.
Because those contestants for the prize aren't just his friends, but his subscribers. And in the sequel video, spending $1 million in 24 hours, this pop-up happens.
Subscribe.
He said it.
1,000.
You're steering into it, MrBeast. Turn it around. Turn it back. Recently, MrBeast said that in 2020 he wants to open several homeless shelters. Now, homeless shelters are absolutely essential to protecting people who are on the streets. Please donate to them. But they also need to be seen as a short-term solution to a long-standing problem. People need permanent, secure housing, not just a place to go after they've been evicted. A sustainable housing solution isn't to build enough shelters to house the homeless, but to stop people from becoming homeless in the first place. And that's why I'm always a little on the fence about MrBeast. Not as an individual, he seems like a great guy doing his best, but in how he's being used in society. I don't think he's normalizing giving so much as he's normalizing poverty. And the idea that generosity should be a spectator sport done by only those who have an ample amount of money at their disposal.
I'm not a political person. I know nothing about politics. But when they just blatantly lie, and, it's kind of like, wow,
Deuteronomy says, the poor will always be among you. So the answer to a lot of our social problems probably isn't giving a random person the equivalent of Coca-Cola's annual advertising budget to go hand out in random cities. It's in raising the quality of life so even those who are poor have something better than intolerable.